on this episode of The Clarity Code.
What do you think are some of the biggest red flags in a pipeline not set up correctly for growth?
I think the biggest red flags are when the different teams aren't aligned. They're chasing different metrics. Sales is going one thing, marketing is going a different thing. There's no documented process from first impression to final sale and referral of new business. What's happening at what stage? Marketing handles X, sales handles Y, tech handles Z. That's really the red flags that I see.
The Clarity Code, presented by Commotion Engine. Clear insights from marketing leaders.
Most SaaS leaders think they have a marketing problem, when what they really have is a revenue systems problem. Our guest today, Ian Fader, is a fractional CMO and Rev Arch architect who helps B2B SaaS companies engineer predictable growth by aligning their GTM strategy, performance marketing, and revenue operations all into one system. He's taken companies from 12 to 27 million ARR in just 8 months. He's scaled others from 1 to 6 million and even built 150 million in net new accounts at Amazon. In this episode, Ian unpacks his revenue architecture method. This is a framework for diagnosing pipeline gaps, building integrative growth infrastructure, and activating campaigns that drive actually measurable results. If you're stuck running busy marketing with no clear path to ROI, then this is your roadmap to clarity. So, Ian, welcome to the Clarity Code.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to dig into this because, too many leaders are stuck in a campaign mindset. Campaigns are like sugar highs. Systems are what builds compounding revenue. And this conversation, I think more founders and marketers need to be having.
Absolutely. I think it's really easy to get kind of in that campaign mindset because, like you said, it's a quick way to see some results, but is it really the right results is the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, I don't think marketing's the problem, structure's the problem.
Well, you spent a lot of time at Amazon in their backyard and patio furniture division. So I'm curious, is your backyard pretty dope or is it just work?
I'm lucky that I did get some nice things from there. I more understanding what products are like and where they're at. I haven't been there since 2017, so most of that's kind of worn out. But the ideas and learnings from there have helped carry me and many other businesses through.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, my backyard could use an update for sure. But man, you've worked with these top Fortune companies, and you've also worked with struggling startups. And to me, they seem a lot different from each other. But I imagine some of the struggles and wins are kind of similar in each of those categories. What do you think is the common thread between the struggles of Fortune 500 companies and the startups?
Marketing isn't usually the problem, structure's the problem. Like the pattern I've seen across startups and enterprise, everyone blames marketing when growth stalls. We need more leads, campaigns aren't working. But when I get under the hood, real problem is structural. Startups are usually chasing quick wins, stacking campaigns. They don't have system to convert or retain. On enterprise side, it's silos, sales and marketing blaming each other, customer success left out, technology and product in their own swim lanes and no shared metrics. That's why I always start with funnel diagnostics. Where's a leak? Where is it conversion from MQL to SQL? Is it velocity? Is win rate falling below 20%? If those red flags are present, I don't really care how much demand gen you throw on top. It's a leaky bucket. One example, when I stepped in as de facto CMO at Amazon in the patio lawn garden department, they had a marketing issue. Or they thought in where customers were purchasing, but in reality, the system was broken. We rebuilt the browse system and the architecture through a $400 million redesign, and that fueled $1 billion in growth over 2 years. So to me, marketing problems are almost always revenue architecture problems, and until the system is aligned, campaigns won't really deliver.
I feel like that takes a little bit of pressure off the marketer when a lot of times it is blamed on marketing. Sales teams blame marketing, marketing blames sales. What do you think are some of the biggest red flags in a pipeline that's not set up correctly for growth that you've noticed?
I think the biggest red flags are when the different teams aren't aligned. They're chasing different metrics. Sales is going one thing, marketing is going a different thing. There's no documented process from first impression to final sale and referral of new business. What's happening at what stage. Marketing handles X, sales handles Y, tech handles Z. Data A, B, and C is transitioned at these points, and this is how handoffs work. I think that not having that, having silos, and that's really the challenge that are the red flags that I see.
Yeah, and you've seen this a lot throughout your experience and developed the revenue architecture method. So, why don't you describe a little bit about what that is and how you've seen that, successful with your clients?
Yeah, so the revenue architecture method is my blueprint for fixing that leaky bucket. Most companies think demand gen is the engine, but in reality, life cycle automation is just as important. It's the plumbing. Here's why: 80% of profits come from the back end, not the top of your funnel. Fintech I worked with had a debt collection self service product stopped at 20 million. They thought they needed more ads. Instead, we automated onboarding, expanded expansion triggers, and built lifecycle nurture. 3 years later, the product was doing over 100 million. The same leads, now the system was multiplying the value. What's the first lever to fix? Alignment. Get sales, marketing, success, tech looking at the same funnel math. Don't buy new tools, don't launch new campaign, fix one weak link in the system. Another kind of SaaS startup was flatlined at a million ARR by focusing just on one lever, uh, improving lead to customer conversion with lifecycle automation. We grew them to 6 million, not from doubling ad spend, but tightening the system down.
So let's talk about some practical steps. I mean, to me, it would make sense like, hey, double your ad spend, you double your ROI. But what were some of the levers and adjustments in a general sense that you think would move the needle?
No, I think that everything comes down to understanding your customer at the most deep, intense level and being able to speak to them. And marketing is all about emotion and making someone feel what they need to feel in order to be more likely to take the action that we want them to take, as opposed to what they would have taken naturally. And so the more that we understand of our customer, our ICP, the better we can make them feel what we need them to feel to make them more likely to do what we need them to do. I believe in having hypotheses and being data driven and saying that we don't know anything until we see the data showing that the customers tell us what it is. I think leaving emotion and beliefs out of things, having hypotheses, always be testing and working on continual improvement. My answer kind of for everything, and the solution to that alignment is like, let's just test it. You think this, I think this, let's document it, let's test it, and let the data show us how we should move forward there.
It's really a whole system. It's not just about, like you said, not just about the campaign. It's not just about the ads. It's a really entire metric is the entire system. But to dig a little deeper, I'd love to hear about how specifically you've seen video be a big part of a successful funnel. Like, how can video marketers tie narratives to metrics, making the creative work harder, but also accountable?
Yeah, I think te the way you do it, like tech plus systems and store like video, it is a system asset, not just a piece of content. Where it fails is when companies treat it like a shiny object, one viral video, one cinematic brand piece. And where it wins is when it's built into the revenue system. Onboarding flows, retargeting ads, sales enablement libraries, renewal campaigns. That's where it drives revenue. I lived both sides of this. The cybersecurity company, we grew from 12 to 27 million by building video directly into the sales enablement and customer education. The content shortened sales cycles, improved adoption. On the flip side, I've seen brands burn hundreds of thousands on cinematic videos that got applause but didn't move pipeline. Best agencies are ones who ask, where in the funnel does this video live? What metrics should it move? And the worst ones just sell production quality with no ties to outcome. What I see it is working authentic thought leadership clips on YouTube and LinkedIn, customer proof, short case study videos. Those beat brand hype, and quick 2-minute explainers to remove friction in buying cycles. You know, had the story without systems is theater. So storing inside a system is growth.
Yeah, that makes sense. So really, when you're working with an agency, it's really important to you that they understand where along the funnel this is going to lie to really help tailor that video content towards what you're trying to sell for that company.
Yeah, it's all about next step conversion optimization and making that customer feel what they need to feel in order to take that next step that we want them to take. And video is one of the best levers for pulling emotions. It's more engaging than any other channel that we can present things to folks in. They get audio and video, and you can read along. If they put subtitles, it really hits on everything. So I think understanding and doing it right and hitting the right emotion to drive the right outcome is huge there.
Yeah, have you seen any trends in what you feel like works the best? Like you mentioned, there's explainers, polished commercials, and now like we're in a world where UGC has really taken over a lot of the platforms. What do you feel like is trending the best right now?
Thought leadership clips, customer proof short case studies, and the quick explainers hitting on different parts of the funnel kind of things at the top, the middle, and bottom there.
Yeah, it's important to have content, I feel like at every stage of the funnel just to make sure we have that good hook at the top and all the way to driving them to the action that you want them to do. And I think you nailed it on the head from my perspective with emotion. We're trying to make people feel something and get them to move. So when it comes to the overall marketing leadership, what's some strategic bottlenecks that you think marketers overlook when they're building pipeline in general?
So I think overload bottlenecks are usually the unsexy ones. Mismeasured handoffs or MQL to SQL conversion, customer onboarding friction because churn starts on day one, and missing lifecycle KPIs. Everyone chases leads, but not tracking expansion or retention. Their question is like, are you launching campaigns? Or are you building systems? Campaigns give you spikes, systems are compounding growth. It's the difference between sugar rush and long-term endurance. When I built my own startups from 0 to 3 million, it wasn't campaigns that mattered. It was systems acquisition, activation, expansion, retention. So when I helped B2B from at Amazon unlock 150 million in growth, it wasn't one campaign. It was architecting the system across a variety of teams. So for video marketers specifically, the metrics that matter aren't views, they're revenue signals like video influence, pipeline dollars, opportunities touched by video, conversion velocity. Are deals closing faster because of that explainer, retention and expansion, like our onboarding or customer videos extending LTV. Leaders who scale aren't better campaigns, they're better system architects.
Do you want to give an example of something where you have worked with a company and they had plenty of campaign, plenty of assets, nothing was working, and then you implemented your infrastructure and your entire system, and you saw the needle move? Do you have an example of that and a quick turnaround?
Yeah, I was at a helping a legal services company. They were a $200 million a year legal services company. They started a SaaS. It got stuck at $1 million in ARR for a while, and really they were just building campaigns trying to chase uh getting sales folks more assets and leads and things that they were asking for, not really building a system to drive pipeline and first traffic that MQLs, SQLs nurturing those people down through, because statistics are that 60 to 70% of the buyer's journey has been completed before they're willing to talk to a human being at this point. And so you have to create that whole journey and piece. And so came in, they had a lot of assets and campaigns, but really no data-driven architecture. Came in, really documented the process from soup to nuts, from first impression to final referral of new business, everything, all the transfers, all the handoffs, and then built out ABM, data-driven ABM for them, which really was, first defining out what's the ICP, who are the target accounts, what titles make up the buying committee there, what human beings make up the buying committee at those target accounts, and then building out the automation programs to reach those folks through omni-channel campaigns and a variety of different methods, then using data-driven continual improvement to drive A/B testing and improvement after launch. Over about 8 months, we grew them from 1 to 6 million in ARR.
Wow, that's huge. Do you feel like AI is a beneficial tool for what you do?
Without a doubt. AI has kind of changed the game in terms of what everyone's doing and how everyone's engaging. I think that the companies that are looking at replacing people with it are going to be very challenged unless they have ridiculously huge experts in prompting. But I think the people who are learning how to do it and harnessing it are more powerful as employees and marketers and vendors for folks and the more we can utilize it and integrate it into what we're doing, the more powerful we're all going to be.
Absolutely. I think that we're in a unique place where the world, from my experience, is looking for that human touch, but we also have these incredible AI tools at our fingertips. How do you balance the need for that human touch to really drive the emotions that you're looking for with the tools that we have with AI, which is inherently not human?
I think that the way that I look at it is that you need to have the human at the final end, the final, editing, polish, finishing, that, like, you need to check everything that's going through, a human on the front, human on the end, you know, SaaS, AI, whatever you wanna call it, in the middle, that's, how I think most people should look at it to have the best outcome.
Yeah, so basically like AI for, parts of the infrastructure and expediting things, but still having a human as part of that delivery.
Yeah, the human needs to ensure that we're sending the right message, that the brand, voice and things are in place and being, uh, followed, that we're hitting the right emotion, that we're not, you know, falling to the middle. I think that a lot of what I've seen with AI is that without continual editing, auditing, processing, and hammering, it the quality just falls to the middle, the median of things. And what I think most business people have seen or understand is that falling to the middle in terms of performance is not adequate to drive the growth that is needed to stay in business and get the investors and the growth they want and everyone on board there. So that's something that I've found and think about a lot.
Absolutely. So you developed the revenue architecture method. What really inspired you? Was it you saw like a gap in a knowledge base, or what made you really develop this and see the need for it?
I think it was just a continual challenge that I saw across everywhere. And when I was at Amazon, the systems architecture that they had in place for one person to oversee or execute things or see teams and like the flow of it all just like made so much sense. The logic of their applications and things are still now in I'm using marketing SaaSes, and they're not up to what I left in 2017 there at Amazon, the stuff that they built in-house. And so there's knowledge and insight that's gained or had at certain companies or levels, and I think that that's necessary to have in order to grow and scale regardless of company size, if you're a 1 or 2 or 10 person company or a 50 or 100 or 100,000. And culture and people are huge and important, and that the people and good cultures at smaller growing firms deserve the knowledge and ability and skills that those larger companies have, but without that culture that comes with and all the red tape that comes with Amazon.
Yeah, I would agree. People culture is the most important factor in the way we treat them. Would you say then that working with some of these smaller companies, even with a smaller ad spend, they could be more successful than some of the larger companies who are held back by those things?
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely say that at any company who's lean and nimble and able to coordinate everything across their company, alignment of your sales, marketing, tech, and product teams, I can't even explain how much added value intrinsically comes from that. That's so difficult to pinpoint on numbers. You're like, "Oh, we did this campaign, and we saw this group and these things," but, like, what about your speed to market when your teams are all aligned and it takes you, 3 weeks to get something done instead of 3 months, and because everyone's infighting and all these other things, or and that everyone's going towards the same goal instead of sales going towards a revenue goal and marketing going towards a lead goal and product going towards a usage goal, and they're all fighting with each other for resources, and that's a lot of what the architecture that allows scalable growth through continual improvement.
Yeah, when you're working with your clients, are you part of that strategic alignment between sales, marketing, and the other elements of the pipeline you're developing? Like, do you coach them with how to, relationally connect, or what part of that do you work with?
In my client work, like, one of the first things I do with the blueprint is, work with the clients to document that process from first impression to final sale and referral. What is the process? How's the lead move? Where are the handoff points? What are the data handoffs? What does it look like? And how do we do that? And so, yeah, that's the first month of working with me in this, like, we're documenting that, and then we're saying, okay, this is current, and then we build out what we want the future to look like, because no one has it set up the way that they want it to be.
Right. So let's say I'm, part of a semi-successful $30 million SaaS company. But still a little bit dysfunctional in these areas. How long would it take you, generally speaking, to kind of turn that around and start seeing things adjust?
So generally, I run a 90-day revenue architecture blueprint sprint, or I work with the founders and their teams, in weekly sprints and things we're working on to do this. And at the end of 12 weeks, we have a idea of what the situation is, the growth opportunities, and a blueprint of the next 6 to 12 months of what we need to do in order to achieve that. And then clients can either decide to execute on that themselves or transition over to a format where I am helping them lead their marketing team in execution of the plan that they developed.
Okay. And what causes the most friction? So you're starting with a company hypothetically, and you can tell right away it's not going to be a successful time. What are some things that we can avoid if we're marketing a SaaS, and we really want to be successful and we were to work with someone like you, but do you ever see a red flag where you're like, it's just not going to work if they continue in this direction?
Yeah, so I would say major red flags for me are when a client doesn't really have clear financial understanding. And in SaaS, that really means CAC to lifetime value ratios, and understanding what that means and how to do them, and giving people that to play within. Because if you haven't figured that out yet, and I can't teach that to you in one day, then, like, that's gonna be a major problem, because that's basically how everything that I structure is built off of, is understanding the numbers that we have to work within, and then figuring out where everything is there. 2, the second red flag is that I'm treated like a consultant, and so I call myself, I'm a fractional CMO because I should be involved in the business as a whole. I'm not here to fix an email problem or here to fix the conversion rate problem. Like a marketing consultant comes in and fixes a problem and they're here for 2 months and then they leave and they fixed one problem. Whereas I come in, I fix the structural problem that clients don't have a marketing C-suite person that's thinking at executive level for them. They have a director or 30-year-old, someone with 10 years or less of experience doing their strategy. And when you're at that level, is it right to have someone at that experience level doing your strategy, or is it more right to have someone with the track record and other experiences that you have, but you might not need it on a full-time basis? You might need it 10 hours a week or something like that. And that's kind of where I come in. So it's like I should be involved in the board meetings and understanding what's happening and other things within that realm, and not just kind of focused on, okay, come in and solve this one problem.
So lastly, tell me what a successful exit looks like for you. What can you tell me about a time when, you have a successful exit, you feel great about the work that you did, and the client has been completely turned around? Like what's that like for you, and what does that look like as far as the metrics?
So I'll say the exits that I've been a part of have been more around creating the campaign and the architecture and the story for investors that shows that there's an architecture in place that can compound and scale. And so it's in coming in, creating the blueprint. One example was a pharmacy paytech company came in, help them understand the market, the ICP, create the revenue architecture system for them. What was ABM? They had a market of 30,000 independent pharmacies that they were going after, figuring out how to do that, building that out, proving that it worked, getting certain percentages of conversion and things in, and then going to market with the company, building out their pitch deck, reaching out to investors, creating those introductions, and helping them being on the calls and presenting the marketing strategy of the company, and also helping coach other founders in presenting.
And now, the clarity check.
My first question for you is, what's the latest mutated KPI? Like, what needs to be on our radars next?
I think that like what I have on is how AEO and Geo is playing out nowadays in terms of getting mentions on AI, and if is that different or not from what it was, and it keeps changing how they're pulling in, where they're pulling, where people are doing that. So I would say that's kind of where my head at is in terms of a new KPI.
I would agree with you on that. What is one thing that you'd tell yourself if you were to talk to yourself when you first started marketing?
Keep your own emotions out of it.
Yes. That's awesome. All right, funnel or flywheel? What's winning now with SaaS companies?
Flywheel's always gonna win. You can focus on your funnel and do continual improvement and A/B test, but if you don't have a flywheel that's dropping people in the top and pushing them down, like I said, you're continually chasing vanity metrics or building campaigns to go after things instead of building that architecture from the ground up that hits what it's supposed to.
Love it. And my last one, how would you describe clarity?
I think clarity is making someone feel exactly what they need to feel to push the button that you want them pushing.
Love that. Thanks for your time today, Ian. It's been great talking with you.
Really appreciate the time, and thanks for having me on.
My favorite thing that Ian mentioned today was how it's all about that unity between the sales, marketing, rev ops. Everyone needs to be in alignment and on the same page in order to move the needle. So if you're struggling with marketing, take the focus off the campaign alone and look at the entire structure. Is it marketing? Is it leads? Is it sales? Or is there something else in the pipeline that needs to be activated in order to work? Hope you'll join us next time. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Clarity Code. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss another upload, and we'll see you next time.
Catch the Clarity Code on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.